All right, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Darius. I'm joined by my lovely co-host Dan Cass. This is the podcast without a name. We haven't figured out our name yet. We're still working on that. Last week we called it the Double D Show. Turns out there's a lot of podcasts with that name, so we're still working out the kinks. But welcome back, Cast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing phenomenal. Another day on this earth is all you can ask for, right?
I can tell you're doing phenomenal. Look at that just gleeful gleam that's just shining off of you. Wow, you're glowing today.
Yeah, I'm working on my lying too, so we're getting there.
Yeah. Oh, you can get better, but not bad, not bad.
We'll work on it.
All right, today is week 2 of our Untitled podcast. If anyone out there has any suggestions, recommendations, send them our way. Drop it in the comment section. We would greatly appreciate it. But for today, we are going to be continuing our conversations from last week, talking about the new anime of the current season. To start that off, we're going to dive right into Kaiju number 8. Cass, what did you think of episode 3 of Kaiju number 8?
Um, I liked it. I think it showed a lot of promise. It was pretty cool to see, him take on like a support role. I feel like typically in a lot of animes, it's like they force their way into like a main character role. It was cool to be like, okay, well, I can't really do anything, so I'm just gonna like play support, and I'm imagining that'll probably become a common theme. Um, so there's like a lot of stuff they can do. Definitely not a thing that happens a lot where your main character kind of picks up a support role for like a lot of it. I
No,
feel
I like that aspect a lot as well. It almost felt like early days of My Hero Academia, like
yeah.
seeing Deku find like creative ways to like play the hero role
Hmm.
when he still has like his whole secret and everything. I feel like that's like a energy of MHA that's lost nowadays.
For sure.
But it felt like that, and it just felt unique watching him like find the unique way to like provide that support, taking down the kaiju, not just like soloing it.
Yeah, and I think probably my only concern is like they find like really cheap, lazy ways that he like uses his power, but like no one notices or whatever. Like I hope they get kind of creative with it. I'm sure they can. Just seeing from like the suits that they wear that like buff your actual abilities. If I don't know how if he can be wearing clothes and like change his arm or whatever like that, but like I just hope they don't do like the lazy stuff where like he's like look over there, and then he does something and then everyone turns around.
That would get old pretty quick. Yeah, I'm definitely assuming. So, for anyone, just a quick recap of the episode. Actually, in episode 3, we see him like going through the test to become a defense force agent. Essentially, this is as far as he's ever made it into it. So this is kind of like the tuning exams or the MHA entry exams and everything like that. We see this in a lot of anime. This one seems like it's going to move a lot quicker than other ones, which I kind of appreciate because it is kind of a tired trope. Excuse me, a tired trope.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like they're injecting some uniqueness into their approach with it. I do kind of expect them to. I expect his secret to be blown early on, or at least I hope it will be, because I think if this whole season is going to be just what you alluded to, like them being cheeky and like finding quick ways to distract people while he gets to use his abilities, I feel like that would go. I don't know. That would get boring really quickly.
For sure.
But they do introduce a new character this episode, or they kind of introduced her in episode 2, but we get to know her. She's like the younger one who's like already like leagues above everyone in terms of like her ability in
Yep.
taking down kaijus. I think when she introduces herself, she says her greatest hobby or her favorite hobby is hunting kaiju, and you better not forget it.
Hmm.
I think they're setting up an interesting dynamic between her and our main character, at
For
which
sure.
point that he does get revealed.
Yeah, I think that's 100% what they're doing, which will definitely be interesting. We haven't like seen too much of the world or the characters that are like working for the company or whatever the defense force. So you can't really get a feel for like how it'll be when he initially reveal. Obviously, they'll want to kill him, blah blah blah. But like, I don't know. I don't know if a lot like of characters will. They've shown any characters that really show like a lot of sympathy early or like so that'll be interesting. But yeah, I agree. I hope they kind of reveal it somewhat. the season and not have to, mess around with, pretending like, oh, I'm just really strong or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it'll come sooner than later because they're already like registering that he has like 0% like
Yeah.
power, right? And so if he does do well at all moving forward, it seems like I don't know. We'll see how they choose to address that moving forward. But I do appreciate how in episode 3 they really pulled back in terms of showing us the audience him in his kaiju form.
Yeah.
Episode 2, it happened so much that like I felt like that. In the last episode, I even said that I think this is going to be a comedy series, and comedy is definitely like present in it. But in episode 3, they balanced it a lot more with action and just storytelling, and that's because they're not cutting to him doing like kaiju antics every 2 seconds now. So yeah, this episode I enjoyed a lot more that we're getting to like experience the character as his human self a lot more, and not just like playing with the shock value of switching into a kaiju doing some crazy feat.
Yeah, and it is kind of weird. Like that's why I think like a lot of that stuff was kind of like he was like accidentally turning into it and stuff like that. And like what the next fucking day now he can like be like brutally injured and he's still holding form. Like I feel like you don't even need to have all those like bits of comedy or whatever lightheartedness where he's like accidentally turning into one. Because like now
I did find that jarring.
Yeah.
He was like sneezing and turning into a kaiju in the second episode, and like this time he's almost like dying and he's perfectly fine.
So I feel like they could have maybe like just thrown in a couple like or like a line of dialogue like, yeah, I've been at home practicing like to keep form, blah blah blah. But like now he's just perfectly in control of it. He can turn certain parts on and off, like. But that's just like a weird nitpick. But yeah, it is kind of funny.
No, I agree that I caught that detail as well. I thought that was a little interesting. As far as the world goes, I like that we're, plot wise, that we're just in kind of an insular little plot. We still haven't gotten any implication of like where the stories go in the future. But right now, the story feels small. It feels familiar for some reason. I guess it's because this is the type of arc that we've gotten in other anime. I thought that they maybe would have taken some more time to flesh out some more of the characters that are around, because right now they really only focused on his new little rivalry with like the 16-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
But these other characters, we haven't gotten much on them. I like the character designs, but we just don't know their personalities yet. And the same critique I had last week is his best friend is such a flat character. He provides nothing aside from just being like the nagging presence, reminding him to like play it cool.
Yeah, I'm hoping he gets more of like a personality. We know more about his backstory. I'm sure that'll happen, but yeah, he's not doing too much aside from just kind of like, I guess, trying to keep him motivated and /or telling him to relax and not go crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, it wasn't a particularly big episode, so I feel like there's not too much else to speak on it for Kaiju number 8, episode 3. That being said, I learned something this week, and I think it's going to blow your mind. Did you by any chance listen to the ending theme song?
Maybe. I don't know. I like.
You're a busy guy. You probably kept it moving.
Maybe, yeah. I don't. I mean, even if I did, I don't remember it. So what?
Well, I was listening to it, and it was like it's all in English, and it's like an acoustic song almost. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Whatever. I was just watching the images. I like to listen to the opening and the ending of shows, especially early on, just to get a vibe of what's going on. Sometimes there's some spoilers, but I like, the creative choices they make with the images. I always think is interesting. But then I see the credits. The band that played that closing theme song, I don't think you'd ever guess that. I almost wanted to challenge you to pull it up and listen to it to guess what band it is. It's One Republic.
What?
Yeah, One Republic. I can't believe I didn't even know One Republic was still making music. I mean, this like pop band from the mid 2000s is here in 2024 doing a anime ending theme song for like the biggest anime out this season. I thought that was really interesting.
Is the theme song like, or is the ending song like referencing the show, or do you think they just picked up a random song?
Not much. I can't. I mean, yeah, I can't even really remember what the contents of the song were. It's pretty vague. It's I think it's just like a general song.
Yeah.
It doesn't. No, it's not too referential to the show. So yeah.
I wonder
Nothing
if
crazy like
it's
that.
an existing song that they just took or they made it for the anime. But
It wasn't one that
is
I
crazy.
had heard. I think it's a newer song. It definitely it sounded like a newer song to me.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
The
Weird
more you know.
choice, but it's one I'd love to see more. What band did the song for Arcane or the whole soundtrack for that? Wasn't that
Imagine
Fall Out Boy?
Dragons.
Imagine Dragons. Okay.
Well, they did
All
some of
right.
the song, but they had other artists.
That's right.
Like,
That's right. They had a lot of people
yeah,
featuring on that
depending
one.
on it, like I know they had like Denzel Curry. I can't remember the other ones off the top of their head, but yeah, they had a bunch of pretty big artists, which was cool. Arcane's
For sure.
like a perfect show in my head, but
Yeah. Well, I think it maybe speaks to what we might see even more of moving forward in the animation industry, but anime more particularly.
Mhm.
Um, is we see Meg the Stallion was just in Japan doing all this anime kind of promotion type of
For
thing.
sure.
Meg the Stallion actually presented an award at the Crunchyroll
I
Anime
saw that.
Awards in
Yeah,
Japan. So, I could see with that happening, with One Republic doing this closing theme song, everything with Arcane, I could see that coming together more, and it'd be pretty exciting to see like what artists come to feature on anime moving forward.
for sure. That's definitely interesting. I think it's just
Yeah,
becoming
give me
more pop.
Justin Bieber for MHA season 7. I think that'd be amazing.
I think anime and like stuff like that is just getting more popularized. I mean, even like if you're a little bit more nefarious in it and that you're just like pandering, it's definitely something that works. Like if you're a celebrity and you're like, oh, I watch this anime, all of a sudden you've got a ton of fans like, oh, dude, this person's so cool, blah blah. But yeah, I think definitely people are seeing that there's a market in it, so I think it'll become a lot more popular as time goes on.
Isn't it crazy how far we've come as far as anime culture
Oh,
being a
dude.
part of mainstream culture?
Middle school, it was like I was confessing a fucking sin if I told somebody I watch an anime.
Yeah. I mean, in middle school, I loved it, but it was like to find someone else who watches an anime that you also enjoy and to be able to have a conversation felt like a miracle.
Yeah,
And God forbid an attractive girl here you talk about
yeah,
that because then you'll
exactly.
be doomed forever.
That was definitely
But
something to keep
now,
low key.
yeah. I mean, now it's every cool person I know. There's no barrier. It's
For
like
sure,
all cool influences are into anime. It's cool to be in anime now. I feel like it's completely taken the reverse
for sure.
life than it had back when we were kids.
Yeah, back in my day, but yeah, no, it's weird how the world changes.
Yep, yep. We were into it before it was cool though.
Exactly, that was the founder, the forefathers.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so yeah, I just wanted to get that tidbit out there. I think more people should be talking about the fact that One Republic is on like anime of the season. But anyways, last episode we talked about episodes 1 and 2 of Go Go Loser Rangers.
Hmm.
This week, we were like one episode behind technically last week, but right now
Yeah,
there's been 4 episodes that have aired. You've seen all 4, right?
yeah.
Right on. So yeah, let's just jump right into Go Go Loser Rangers. I'll kind of kick this one off and kind of give you some of my thoughts. This show is so weird, but so good at the same time. I feel like the choices that this show makes, like narratively, just how it chooses to tell its story, are so like off the wall.
Yeah,
But there's like enough charm happening that like it still keeps me invested and like wanting to keep watching more. I mean, just the way that they choose to like tell the story sequentially continues to throw me off, and like how they will introduce characters and have you like interact with these characters and then fill you in on them a little later on. I
yeah,
know, as I said, it doesn't sound like the craziest choice. We've definitely seen that on paper happen, but the way
yeah.
that it plays out in this anime feels like something I haven't seen before.
Hmm. Yeah.
What's your takeaways from these last 2 episodes?
I like. Well, one, I like how they're kind of leaning into the more like darker. But I mean, you saw, Red Ranger just murder somebody for like even suggesting that they should, that he should step down or whatever. So I like that. I'm glad it's not going to be like full sunshine and rainbows. Like it gives some seriousness to it.
Yeah, I kind of think the narrative needed that.
Yeah.
like to make them feel like definitively the bad guys.
Yeah.
There's been like a few moments of like sadisticness from them, but they haven't felt like super bad. They've just felt like arrogant up to this point. And that moment making him kind of like the main antagonist, I suppose, of this like villain coalition. I think that like I needed that as a viewer to really drop into like, the stakes.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, the monsters want like world domination or whatever. So like, uh, obviously they're kind of the bad guys, but you want like the Rangers to be painted as more of a bad guy.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a good moment for that. I think they can get real interesting with kind of how obviously he's not strong, so it's gonna be like an inside job kind of situation. So I mean, depending how they write it, they could have some really cool moments, some like Death Note-esque moments where it's really cat and mouse, high stakes. You really feel the adrenaline when stuff's happening. So there's a lot they can do with that. But the episodes are pretty good. I don't have too many complaints.
Yeah, to that point, what you're saying there, like playing with the premise, like with the Death Note of it all,
Mm-hmm.
we got like a glimpse of that kind of storytelling in episode 4, and I do think we're going to get a lot more of it.
For sure.
Of like at the end of episode 4, oh man, I wish I remembered their names, but we see Fighter D linking up with the red-haired guy, and they're
Mm.
starting to work together and everything. And just in like the last 5 minutes of that episode, they're playing with this enemy and like trying to like confuse him and everything, and like playing with his shape-shifting abilities. There was like multiple ways that they surprised me narratively, like how they chose to play with his power set
Yeah.
to kind of pull one over this
Mm-hmm.
other character. So yeah, if they lean into more of like that kind of, deceptiveness and like, manipulation going on, I think that will elevate the show a lot.
For sure. Like you don't obviously I'd imagine they're gonna have like big flashy fights or whatever, but like I think everything leading up to it, if you just kind of have like a smart, um, thought out kind of build up to that, it'd be 10 times better. That you can get real lazy with like, oh, he's a shapeshifter, he just turns into this person, that person, not really thinking about it. But like if they're really thinking about the consequences of, okay, if I switch into this person, they're gonna wonder where like the person I'm pretending to be is, what I mean, stuff like that. If they really think about that, it could be really good. But
Yeah, if they play more chess with it.
yeah, if they just kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna switch into this guy and walk into this room and it'll be all right, like then yeah, it won't be that great. But
I have a question.
what's up?
Because as far as I know, I don't see any reason for this. Maybe you picked up on something I didn't. In episode 3, we get an interaction with one of the Red Ranger workers, one of the guys down lower on the totem pole. I think his name was Tokita. He's like one of the major bad guys we've had interactions with, and our main character defeats him in battle. The dude with the clown makeup.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
talking about?
yeah.
Why does this guy have clown makeup on?
I I
I
don't
just don't
fucking know.
understand it. Like, it's an interesting design choice, sure. And like other anime are set in worlds where like dudes can just be wearing clown makeup. When you watch Hunter x Hunter, when you see Hisoka wearing clown makeup, you don't question it because that's in a world that's just ridiculous. But
Yeah,
as far as we've seen, this world people are pretty grounded in how they present. And this guy's just walking around in clown makeup where otherwise his like get up is pretty normal. I just don't understand like why he chooses to do that. We're 4 episodes in and they don't even give you an inclination as to why he's wearing it.
yeah. It's a weird design choice for sure. I mean, I'm sure they'll go into it at some point.
I
I feel like
suppose.
he'll be some sort of reoccurring like small villain. I don't think they killed him. But
Well, we
they,
don't know
oh, I
actually. We
guess.
actually have no idea. He just so that does get into one thing, and I alluded to this last week as well, that I do have a critique over with the show. I think it's so interesting, and they keep teasing like greater plots that are going to be building in the background, and I'm very dropped into our main character and the couple people that he's working with. But the way that they choose to jump around narratively, it feels a little lazy to me, and I don't like feel like it's always fleshed out. For example, that interaction that he has with the clown makeup guy, he distracts him for a second and then he attacks him. And then the last thing we see is him like maybe gonna kill him, I suppose,
Hmm.
but we don't get a button to that. And they don't pick that up in episode 4 either.
Yeah, they don't
Now,
mention like Well, they did mention he got defeated in battle, but like you don't really know to
Sure,
what extent, I guess. But
sure. And then in the episode, after you see him attacking him, it cuts immediately to him getting out of the vent, and
hmm
then the Red Ranger guy is just sitting there waiting for him. We as an audience have no idea how the Red Ranger knew that he was going to be there. Like
yeah,
that doesn't make any sense to me. Unless, a few episodes down the line, they're going to cut back to episode 3 and, kind of explain in the background where they're getting this information from.
hmm
But A, I don't know how that battle ended in terms of the state of that other character. And B, it does, from what we're led to believe, it doesn't make any sense that the Red Ranger would be waiting there for him. How would he
yeah,
have that information?
yeah. And it probably could have taken like a 10-second scene of like him being like, oh, what was that? Like a certain explosion. Like, are we getting infiltrated by that monster or whatever? But
Right. So yeah, that's just like I just feel like narratively they're being a little bit sloppy in terms of like justifying putting characters in certain spots, and I think that happened in the first couple episodes as well.
hmm
But I'm willing to overlook it because watching this show is a lot of fun. Like it just feels like high octane. They're just like throwing the story at you and like daring you to keep up. So the overall energy keeps me invested, but there's a couple things that are throwing me off with it.
for sure. Yeah, I agree. But we're early in the season still. Still a lot of room for improvement, and you know,
For sure. I will say the highlight of these 2 episodes for me was getting the backstory for the red hair character that our guy's working with now.
hmm
Him as a kid and like the conflict between, his parents are seeing the Rangers as one thing, whereas society is pushing the Rangers as another thing, and
hmm
this character being caught between them. I do think that dichotomy gets a little bit lost when all of a sudden they inject like a church presence into it and then like tell you that his parents are like fanatical churchgoers, and then we see a god come in and destroy them. I'm a little bit lost. I'm assuming they'll kind of contextualize that a little bit more,
I think
but
in
overall it's an interesting setup for the character.
yeah, I think in episode 2 or 3 or one of the most recent ones, like you saw a bunch of the Blue Rangers getting killed, and it was that same god.
Okay.
So I don't know if that was just like a premise to kind of introduce that character. But yeah, I don't know what they were going with that. I wish we get more explanation into like what that whole religion's about. I'm sure they might, but yeah, I'm sure they might once they like really show off that god monster, whatever the hell it is. Um, I'm sure they'll
I'm
go
sure they
into
will.
his
They can do
whole
that.
yeah.
Yeah, just interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely very interested in this like god character who's like showing down. My assumption is that he's another form of like fighter D and is, projecting himself image wise in that way, but that doesn't really speak to the power that we saw him display,
Yeah, he's
which
some kind of
visually
strong.
was amazing. If we get more of those like that and like animation wise, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for that batch of episodes. I mean, the scene where we do see all the higher ups of the Rangers in the room and we see him like kill his like underling. Again, that was a great scene. That's probably the most memorable moment
Mm-hmm.
of the series so far for me.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Cats, I've got a challenge for you. I've combed the internet. I've done some deep research, and I want to see if this is something that you can tackle. I've got a blind rank for you. So today we're going to be blind ranking without knowing which one comes next. Anime senseis.
Okay.
You think you're going to fare well on this? How well do you know your anime senseis?
I feel like pretty well. Like, what do we rank? Like, what's the like? Is it strength? How much I like them? Everything.
I think we're gonna go everything all included. Special points to hit here. How effective are they as a sensei? How memorable are they?
Okay.
You know, those type of things. But I'm gonna leave it all to you. How I want you to tally everything up in your heart of hearts and come to the conclusion here. And I'm gonna try to give it to you in order that's not gonna make it easy. So just keep that in mind. All right.
Yeah, and I guess for just explanation in case people don't know, he's gonna list off a character, and then I have to rank them immediately, and I can't change it. So I have to like, guess what he might say, or if he's gonna give someone worse or better, and then place them accordingly.
That's right. So let's see how you do. Blind ranking anime senseis without knowing which one comes next. To start off, I've got a show that's near and dear to your heart from Bleach, Urahara.
Hmm.
Where are you gonna put that guy? He's cool. He's sexy. Some would say very knowledgeable. Where are you gonna place him?
Um. Honestly, probably not that high, just because he's not like, I don't know. He kind of, he definitely helps in a lot of big moments, but he's not like a constant figure that's like they're mentoring him. It seems like he kind of picks up these mentors throughout the show. So like he's always there, but he's largely not there for most of it. So I'm gonna have to, honestly, Bleach is one of my favorite animes ever, but I might have to put him at like a, let's do like a 5.
A 5 for
Yeah,
Urahara.
yeah,
Bold, bold.
bold.
Yeah, when you think of Bleach, if I say Bleach Sensei, is he the first one that comes to mind?
Probably. However, just like thinking back on it, like Ichigo's had so many different ones. And if you compare it to other animes where like a sensei is like, or mentor teacher is just like almost always around or there and like helping in some sort of way. Um, he's not always. He's kind of there in the big moments where it's like, oh shit, I really need some help, or someone that's like really knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, shit, we don't even know like what his power is at this point in time.
It's true.
I think they've showed it in the manga, but like as of the anime, like we've never really seen him like fight or do any like. We just know
Yeah, I've got no idea.
he's strong and he's knowledgeable,
Yeah.
and smart. But yeah, that's my reasoning.
All right, so you're locking in Urahara from Bleach at number 5. All right. Let's jump over to another big one. Jiraiya from Naruto.
Huh. I think
I know Bleach is your favorite anime. Naruto is probably my number one anime of all time, just in terms of personal impact. So, this is a loaded one. So let's see where you put him.
Yeah. I think honestly, he's high up. I'm just in between like maybe like 1 and 2.
So you're going for the sandwich method. You're going to start here, and you're going to start here, and then fill out in between.
Maybe I just don't know who else you're gonna hit me with. I'm gonna have to. I'm just trying to think if there's anyone that could possibly beat him off the top of my head. Of course, I'm drawing a blank.
Let's go heart here, okay? Don't try to game it so much. Let's go with your heart.
Right. I'll throw him. I'll throw him at 1, just because Naruto does have such a, big part of my childhood as well. He was super big in him learning the move that he spams for the entirety of the show. He was likable. You got a lot of good backstory out of him. His death was very emotional. Definitely hit harder than a lot of other, I guess, senseis.
Yeah, if we're talking about like character like deaths, particularly with senseis, like Jiraiya is one of the most memorable ones for me. Probably because it's one of the first ones I was exposed to kind of growing up. But definitely still the emotions of him passing do still really ring with me a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so you're putting him at number 1, right?
Yeah, I have a feeling I'm gonna regret it, but yeah.
All right, Jiraiya at number 1, and we got Urahara at number 5. All right, I'm throwing you. Probably didn't see this one coming, but I'm going Gojo Sensei.
Gojo from JJK.
Gojo, that's right. Yep, Gojo from JJK, that's right. Very different kind of sensei from what we've had.
For
Honestly,
sure.
the first 3 here all have very different flavors that they bring to the table.
I think I'm gonna go. Let's go with like 4. Kind of for similar, yeah, for similar reasons. Obviously, he's very memorable. He's really strong. He's cool, but he's not always present. It's the same thing with like Bleach, whereas like I feel like Itadori's had like a ton of different mentors along the way. Obviously, he saved him, kind of took him under his wing, but um, as far as like directly training Itadori, I feel like he learns more from the people he fights than like the sensei himself. You know what I mean? I think Gojo just kind of gave him like a general, this is how curse energy works, blah, blah, and been around, but like not super present.
He hasn't told Yuji anything he couldn't have learned from anyone else who
Yeah,
works at the place, right?
Yeah, he's pretty hands off. He's pretty carefree. You know what I mean? Plays into his character, of course. But yeah, that's probably a nice little 4.
Yeah, no, he's a sensei, but he doesn't really feel much like a teacher, does he?
No, not really.
He's just like a hold my beer kind of guy. Show you how it's done by actions, I suppose.
Exactly.
All right. I mean, maybe if this was a power ranking, this would go a little differently.
For
But
sure,
I like where you place Gojo.
Yeah,
I like where you place.
It would be like kind of flipped almost if it was power.
All right. Yeah. All right. So at the bottom we got Urahara. Number 4 we got Gojo. Number 1 we got Jiraiya. Next up you've got All Might.
All Might.
Oh
shit.
Go.
Damn. He honestly would have probably taken the 1 spot, actually.
Really?
Yeah, he's just there the entire show, like constant. Like he is a direct mentor. He's always present. Obviously, he becomes pretty useless power wise. So he's literally like his whole role now in the show is to mentor Midoriya and like give him advice. So I think, probably 2. He's probably have to go 2.
Yeah, fair enough. He does his presence. Not only is he just the sensei to our main character, but it's like every character in the story, including other teachers, look up to All Might as their kind of sensei as well. Like he's kind of the beacon for the whole society.
And in the nature of the show, like all the other shows we listed, like, the main character is obviously just trying to become stronger, blah blah blah. But like Midoriya is literally trying to like take the same role that he has, like as being the number 1, strongest hero, the one everyone looks up to. Like he is literally training him to take over his role. So like it's even more direct. Like that's as much of a mentor teacher as like you can probably get.
Yeah, fair enough. Honestly, I didn't necessarily agree with you at first, but now that you do say that, he, by all definitions of what like a mentor in anime should be, he honestly checks every single box.
For
So
sure.
fair enough. All right. So I got to say I like how your list is shaken out. So just to recap, at number 1 we've got Jiraiya Sensei. Number 2 we've got All Might, and number 4 we have Gojo, and number 5 we have Urahara. So your number 3 spot by default is going to be Biscuit from Hunter x Hunter.
Oh.
Yes, I tried to throw you a one significant curveball in there that you wouldn't have thought of previous lead to this list. But yes, Biscuit, who was introduced in the Greed Island arc.
Yeah, I definitely would have probably put her lower.
Okay,
but, she snuck the 3.
She's easy to forget because she's, she kind of gets sandwiched in terms of the story of Hunter x Hunter. But she's one of my favorite senseis in anime.
Really?
Where she gets introduced, our characters have just been learning then.
Yeah.
And she's like in this integral part. Maybe I like her so much because she's associated with the majority of the explaining for what I consider to be the best power set in anime. I love the power system in Hunter x Hunter. And she's just there for a lot of the beefy part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, she's one of my favorites. I like having, she's just a fun one for me.
Yeah, I feel like she plays a pretty integral role in like teaching them. But like, I feel like after that or before that, you don't really see her much after that. Like she did her one thing she needed to do. And then do you even see her in like the Chimera?
She pops up.
Like,
I think they allude to her.
They allude to her.
You get a flash of her.
Okay.
She doesn't involve herself within the narrative again, honestly.
Yeah, she was.
And to your point, I do think she's a great teacher, but narratively, she doesn't have much of an impact.
Yeah.
Emotionally, we're not tied to her. They could have killed her off, and maybe that would have put her higher on this list, emotionally speaking. But yeah, I think 3 is a good spot for her, to be honest, because she is a great teacher, but just narratively, she's not too important.
I think if I could redo the list, like like my true ranking would probably be like All Might 1, Jiraiya 2. I might just switch like Gojo and her, but I might have gotten it right, honestly.
I don't hate your list at all. I don't hate your list.
I think I got it right.
If I was choosing, I would probably put Jiraiya in the number one spot because he is kind of like a pseudo father figure as well.
For sure.
I like that aspect of him. And then number two, I would have put All Might. I do think All Might, I like him at number one. But for me personally, I just feel way more endeared to Jiraiya. Biscuit number three, Gojo four, Urahara five. I think that's solid. Yeah, I'm not mad at your list at all. Good stuff, Cass. I was hoping next time I'll have to make it harder for you. I think that was too easy.
I was playing the game too much. I was thinking too much.
Yeah, I almost put Saitama in that list as well. I don't know where would he have ranked for you? Would you have put him in probably five? I don't know.
For who?
He's technically a sensei.
Genos?
Yeah.
Genos?
Yeah, he's technically a sensei, isn't he?
I guess. I don't know what he's actually like done aside from like do like one training or like.
He's probably the only protagonist that is also the sensei in their show.
Yeah, and he like I guess he teaches them not directly, just like like Genos watches him, he gets inspired or whatever, and then he like goes and trains harder. Like, that's the extent of his mentoring, I suppose.
But by all regards, he should be a rival to Genos, but he's his sensei.
For sure. Yeah. I guess. Yeah, I would probably put him 5, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Let me switch this up.
Okay.
I'm going to hit you with it, but it has nothing to do with anime, video games, anything. Just something. Let's do sodas.
Sodas.
It's a big carbonated
blind rank sodas.
Blind rank soda.
All right. Oh, well, you came to the expert.
Yeah, I know you're a carbonated drinker fan.
I am so the one to come to for this.
Let's hit you with this one's kind of controversial for me. I feel like it's very hit or miss. Let's go Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper. All right, I'm gonna rattle these right off. I'm going straight passion. Dr. Pepper number 2. I want some room to go. But if we're talking passion, DP's got to be top 3. I might even put it number 1 on a lot of lists, but I'm gonna play it a little safe and put it number 2.
Interesting. Okay.
He's a doctor. He's got a PhD. You gotta respect him. But I want some room to grow.
All right. Next one, we'll do a Sprite.
This is going to be controversial. This might be the death of our podcast.
Really?
I'll be honest. I don't love Sprite.
Really?
I really don't.
Really?
If it was strictly on the merits of a soda in general, I don't drink lighter sodas. Okay, I'm going black. I'm black all day for my sodas. I like my sodas how I like my men, and I like them darker. Okay. So for Sprite, if it were for the merits alone of being a soda, I would probably go number 5. But I'm a little scared of what you're going to give me. And I'll acknowledge that I do like Sprite and an alcoholic beverage. And for that reason, I'm going to put it at number 4.
So you telling me that you don't like the lighter sodas kind of has me changing my direction a bit. Let's go standard Coke.
Standard Coke.
Coca-Cola.
This is terrifying. I was hoping this would come last and I could just slide it right in to my number 1 slot. I don't think there's anything that's going to beat that, honestly. I think Coke is number 1. Personally, personal taste wise, I'm a little partial towards Dr. Pepper, but for the legacy that Coke gives you, I'm sliding him right in at number 1.
Okay.
I mean, Coke, I know people that say, can I get a Coke when they just want a soda,
Yeah.
So if we're talking about sodas, you got to put Coke at number 1.
All right. So what, we've got Coke 1, DP 2, Sprite 5.
Yep. I don't think you're going to be able to get me on this list. I think this list is going to be perfect.
Well, I might
Wait,
get you a little bit.
I put Sprite at number 4. I put Sprite at number 4.
Sprite 4. Oh,
yes.
Shit. Okay.
Let the record show.
This is very hit or miss. Root beer.
Whoa,
Root beer.
that's a route I didn't expect you to go
Yeah,
down.
that's you gotta
Uh,
ask someone that. That's like, you can tell a lot about a person if they like root beer or not.
mm. First things that's coming to mind is root beer floats. You give some points for the versatility there.
For sure.
And honestly, root beer is way better than Sprite. So this is an easy number three for me. Honestly, I love my top three so far.
Really,
Coke, Dr. Pepper, root beer.
root beer
Hello,
is
let's
like
go.
the easiest five, like
Oh, you're
all
joking.
days of the week. Like
Tell me another drink that can accompany you to the pool, to a pizza party, but also be there for your dessert. Hello.
no Coke.
What? Coke what?
Coke
People
can
aren't putting
fill.
Coke with their ice cream, pal.
People do Coke floats. That's like the standard substitute. If you don't like root beer, you're putting Coke. Swear to
Never
God.
heard of that.
No, that is
Yeah,
100% a thing.
yeah. Well, people also walk into the middle of the street barefoot, and I wouldn't do that either. Okay, that's crazy. That's nonsense. Root beer number three. Also, you know, it's got beer in the name. That's cool. You got to give it something for
I
that
mean, that's why
uniqueness.
I tried to like it as a kid for that. I tried it in floats. Um, I just couldn't get over it. I mean, maybe now that I'm grown up, my taste buds have matured a bit. For example, obviously you don't like beer, and then all of a sudden you like beer. All of a sudden you're drinking IPAs, which the first time you
Right.
drink an IPA, you think you're drinking like mud, like it's super earthy and like bitter, but then you
Uh-huh.
grow to love it. So maybe that's maybe that's the case for root beer.
Yeah, you'll age into it. You'll get there. Maybe in your
Maybe.
30s.
I mean, I'll give
Yeah.
it a go again, but I don't think I can ever get over it.
No, the male trajectory for their relationship with beer over time needs to be studied,
Mhm.
honestly, because I have seen the path happen to everyone. But all right, what you got for what's my number five? I think I've got a perfect list already.
Um, you know, you saying you like the darker ones really kind of threw me in because I could throw a niche one at you, but maybe you don't. Maybe you didn't drink it. I don't know if I've ever drinking it, so I'm gonna go
I'm the
for the.
expert. I'm drinking it.
All right, well, I'm gonna give you the standard one that I originally was gonna say, and then I'll hit you with the other one after, and you let me know if how it would have ranked. Um, OG Gamer Fuel, Mountain Dew. Do we think you got him there?
I needed to take a second to compose myself. I didn't expect this. I actually have a complicated relationship with Mountain Dew.
Oh yeah.
It actually pains me to put it in my number five. Much like we alluded to with beer, your taste buds change over time, and that's not, personally, I'm not going to be picking up a Mountain Dew anytime soon as an adult, but as a kid, I loved that thing. Oh my gosh, I love Mountain Dew. My cousin and I made a song about it because we loved it so much.
Wow.
Mountain Dew actually was very important for my anime journey growing up
Oh,
because
yeah.
that's what kept me up at night to stay
For
up to
sure.
watch Toonami.
Oh.
Every Naruto episode I watched, there was a green can of Mountain Dew right there next to me.
Yeah,
But
man.
the song we made was the mystical magic drink of the magical mountain of Magic Dew, the Mountain Dew. Woohoo!
Jesus.
That was for a competition to win Mountain Dew for life. That's how much
Okay.
that meant to us.
That makes sense.
I actually can't believe I didn't think of that one. But yeah, number five. That's tough. That's tough. But it's okay. We're adults now. I think it's okay to put Mountain Dew at the number five slot. That's fine.
So what's the list here? It's Coke, Dr. Pepper, what was the other one?
Root beer.
Root beer,
Root beer.
then Sprite, then Mountain Dew. And it's hard because
I'm proud.
yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I'd probably swap out Mountain Dew and root beer, but it's kind of tricky, just because different flavors of these sodas can drastically change. The one I was really thinking about was Mountain Dew, There's so many flavors of Mountain Dew that like really played at different parts in my life. Like standard Mountain Dew is always good. You know, it's classic. Um, there was this orange Mountain Dew, like literally called Gamer Fuel, that like I fell in love with. I love that so much. You would get like extra XP in like Halo and stuff like that, or whatever it was.
Right.
I fucking that flavor. I don't know if I've ever seen it again. I think I've seen Gamer Fuel, but it was like a different formula. Didn't taste the same. So R.I.P.
Uh-huh. I've got a vague memory of this as well in the aisles of
It was
like a
like
Walmart.
orange.
Like I don't think I ever tried it, but I remember this concept of like getting points in the game as well by getting it.
I had a Code Red phase. Code Red was good. You can't drink it long term. I think that it's too. I don't know. It's too like whatever. You know what I mean? It's pungent. It's
Acidic? I don't know.
It's got a lot going. Like it's a strong flavor. Like you can't. It's easy to get sick of. And then of course Voltage. Voltage was a big part of my high school career. Going to my friend's house, he always had Voltage. That is literally electricity in a can. People like to talk
Voltage was doing something.
Yeah,
I have to admit, Voltage was doing something.
People like to talk about McDonald's Sprite being lightning or electricity. That drink was literally like I tasted like I was drinking a lightning bolt. So yeah,
very impressive branding and like commitment to being accurate towards the branding. Honestly, I don't know if there's been a more aptly named drink out there.
Yeah, Mountain Dew is big, but the other drink I was gonna hit you with if I didn't hit you with Mountain Dew was a Dr. Pibb.
Mr. Pibb?
Mr. Pibb, sorry, I mixed up.
Yeah, actually, the thing with Pibb is he was gonna go for that medical degree, but he just couldn't do it, so he's just Mr. Yeah, he just has a bachelor's. Yeah, no, I like me some Mr. Pibb. I like me some Mr.
I don't
Pibb.
think
I
I've
actually would take.
it.
Oh, interesting. Do you know what it's a contemporary of?
Either Coke or DP.
No. So yeah. So we got like Coke and Pepsi. We got Sierra Mist, Sprite.
Yeah.
Mr. Pibb is actually the Dr. Pepper. So it's interesting that you called him Dr. Pibb.
Okay. You know? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what I figured.
Yeah, they're the only drinks that come with a title.
Interesting. All right. Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna hit you with. What would you have put it? Like
Mr. Pibb?
Yeah.
Realistically, I do prefer Mr. Pibb to Dr. Pepper, so maybe that would have creeped in, but I don't think he could have taken on the legacy of Coke. There's no beating that legacy for me. I gotta give Coke its flowers for that.
Fair enough.
If Mr. Pibb had gone the extra mile and wrapped up his med school, maybe this would be a completely different conversation. But unfortunately, we just can't give him the credit. You flunked out of school, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, Coke has the little feather on the cap that used to be prescribed as medicine, and some places it's still, I think in certain place in Coca-Cola, people, if you're sick, I'll drink a Coca-Cola. They think it's like has medicinal properties.
It's kind of a catch-all. I've been told I could pour Coke on my car or something to do something about my grease.
Yeah, well,
yeah, every time I get an oil change, right after I just pour a can of Coke on top of it as well, just to make sure everything's up to snuff.
I could go on and on about sodas, but this year
this is going to be the soda cast. We're going to call this the soda pod. Like soda pop.
I love me a Coke Zero, and I drink one a day for better or for worse. It's a nice little bit of caffeine, good carbonation, tastes the closest to standard Coke without having all the calories. Obviously you trade random chemicals, but it's all good. But there's a lot of exciting games coming out in the next year.
That's right.
I don't know if you keep up or if you have anything on your radar, but I was going to ask if you have anything in mind that's coming out. Otherwise, I definitely do.
Yeah, well, I am the expert, so the games that are on my radar. No, for anyone at home, I am a pathetic excuse for a gamer. I have just gotten my first PC this last year, and so I'm still taking my baby steps there. The only game that I'm anticipating, which is still the same game I've been anticipating for 3 years, and that's the new Rivals of Aether. I've
Yep.
got no idea when it's coming out,
This year.
so that's all I can say. This year.
Yeah, it was on my
Well,
list.
I've
People,
thought that for a number of years.
yeah, people have already played like the alpha and stuff like that. But yeah, that's coming
I'm
out.
super excited for that. I want to play Arcane. I'm excited for a bigger roster, smoother gameplay. I've been chasing the high of a platform fighter for years now. Smash has been the one game that I've actually poured hours into. Days even, not just hours, honestly, days into. It's the best game that I'm at. The best game ability that I have is for Smash. And there's been a few platformers over the last few years, and none of them have stood the test of time. So I'm hoping that when the new Rivals of Aether comes out, that it'll reinvigorate that.
For sure. It looks phenomenal. My one gripe is I don't think Forsburn's in it. It's my main. So it's pretty heartbreaking. I feel like he was, the roster wasn't big in general. So taking
Wait, can you
him,
repeat that? You said your one big gripe is what? I'm so sorry.
you're good. Forsburn, not in the game.
Your guy.
I'm pretty sure. Like any roster I've seen, I've not seen him, which feels, it's heartbreaking, especially because the roster wasn't very big in general. Them taking him out and swapping him for someone else is tough to see because that was the one character.
I find that hard to believe.
I mean, unless
in
they
the story
drop him,
mode, isn't he kind of like the main villain?
He's Zetterburn's brother.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people played him. Everyone called Zetterburn Betterburn just because
that's
he
right.
just was the better pick always. But I don't know. Forsburn really, really had something that all the other characters didn't have for me. So, I mean, if he's in the game, fucking perfect. But, it's heartbreaking to see. Other games kind of on my radar. A lot of them are kind of smaller indie or, nothing super AAA really. You probably won't know them, but maybe you'll know a couple. You familiar with Hades?
Hades, the name I've definitely heard of. I'm going to look this up as well so that way I can have an idea
it was on,
of what we're talking about.
I believe it was
here.
on Switch. Definitely on other consoles, PC. It's like a roguelike top-down. I don't know. I'm sure you've seen pictures of it somewhere. Art styles.
Oh yes,
yeah.
I'm familiar with.
So the second one of that is coming out. I played a little bit of the first one.
Okay.
I didn't have too much time to play the first. The second one's coming out soon. I didn't have too much time to play the first one. I'll definitely probably revisit it at some point. But looks very interesting.
Can we expect to see you playing Hades 2 on your stream?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I'm definitely trying to I'm mostly playing League on my streams. You can thank Arcane for that. That show single-handedly got me interested in playing the game. I've learned it. I play it a lot. I am. It's like a toxic relationship. Sometimes you play it, you don't feel like it's good for you, and say I'm done. And next thing you know, you're queuing up another solo duo game just to get angry at your team.
You just can't stay away.
You can't. It's tough, but I love it.
So if you want to see Cat's toxic relationship with League, tune in Wizard Cast on Twitch. Is that right?
Yes, indeed. I've been playing random small indie games because I would like to kind of review them. Not like I have a big audience, but maybe shed a little bit of light. If one extra person can buy them, that's always cool. Support your indie devs. There's one called Kingmakers. I believe the premise of the game is, you're in a medieval setting. You've always thought, what if I traveled back in time and I brought some of our technology? Would I just be able to take everyone down? Well, this is kind of that show or that game, and come back. You got cars, you got guns, you got everything, and you're just kind of thrown in and you're just fighting. I don't really know too much of the premise aside from that, but it looks really fun, interesting. Not going to be too serious, I'd imagine, but something you can just kind of turn your brain off and play.
So it's like an open world game?
I don't know if it's open world, but it's like a third person perspective. I don't know exactly how it'll be. I don't know if you're just gonna do missions, if you're gonna, try and grow your army and whatever. Or if I don't know if it's just like a sandbox, like throw a bunch of units in and just start going fucking crazy. Rooftops and alleys.
That does seem like a cool premise, though.
For sure.
That does seem like a very cool premise, like bringing in modern technology into like medieval setting.
Yeah, and it's like
cool.
The art style is kind of like it's not hyper realistic or anything. It just looks like it'll be a fun, kick back, not think too much, just play. Next one we got is Rooftops and Alleys. It's like a parkour game. It kind of fills the same void, like a game like Skate would, where you kind of just skate. I know there's new Skate games coming out, but it's been a long time since Skate 3's come out. You can only play it for so long. This kind of will fill that void until Skate 3 or Skate 4 comes out. It's kind of like it's sandbox like parkour game. No real objective from the looks of it. You just kind of run around, jump around, climb. Just sit back, relax, just do some cool tricks. Nothing too serious. That game looks really fun. I think it's releasing soonish.
That looks like a game I could really get into.
Yeah, like it's. I don't think it'll be a high price point, like maybe $30 max.
Yeah, no, like I'm not a serious gamer, but I do like open world games like that. Like especially Skate is a game that I've spent so much time on. And when I game, I just like to chat on Discord while I'm kind of hamster brain activating myself in front of me. And that seems like perfect for me, actually. I haven't heard of this. I want to get into it.
Yeah, definitely look it up. It's.
Do you know when this game comes out?
I don't think there's a set announced date, but definitely this year sometime. Yeah, I mean, especially now that we're men, you work a full shift, and probably the last thing you feel like doing is using the remnants of your brain power to play a highly competitive game where someone's been sitting home all day, getting warmed up, to bend you over. So this is something you can just play. You can play, chill, enjoy yourself. And then two more. We got these are kind of the same thing. Actually, in my head, before I looked it up yesterday, I thought it was just one game, but there's a game called Body Cam and a game called Unrecord, which uses the new Unreal Engine, which looks very real, and it's kind of like it's a shooter, first-person shooter, where it looks like you're literally in like seeing from a GoPro or from your own eyes, and like if you watch a trailer or gameplay, it looks like real, like it looks like a real body cam footage, and one that's kind of scary, two, like it's really interesting, like the way you move, the way you aim, like it's just like, oh, lift your hand up, like it's swaying, like it looks so real. It's definitely interesting. I don't know how much I'll play. I don't know if that'll have a mental effect on certain people, but definitely something I'm looking at. I don't know why there's like two of the same exact game coming out. One of them's the copy. I don't know which one's the original. But yeah, I'll definitely check out both those.
Yeah, just looking at pictures, like if I hadn't had the preface that this is a video game, I would just assume that's body cam footage.
Yeah, and you're just watching people die. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And the last one is a rumor that I recently found out about, and I know I'm probably a little late, but you know Skyrim.
A rumor?
Yeah, you know Skyrim, right?
Yes, I'm familiar.
The game before it was just Oblivion. It's rumored that there is a remastered version with updated graphics and stuff like that coming out sometime this year. I don't know how accurate it is. It's supposed to be leaked. And, when that game was out, I have an older brother. He's much older than me. He had all the consoles. He had everything. I never really got to play Oblivion until it was kind of too old to, like, really, when you're looking back, it's like, graphics are bad. It's kind of janky. I know that's the kind of character, that's why everyone loves it. But seeing that they're doing that, they're going to, probably update all the graphics, blah, blah, blah. If it keeps the same,
Sorry,
like,
my cat's being a menace.
you're good. If it keeps like the same heart, I'm really excited for that.
So Oblivion is a prequel to Skyrim or no?
It's kind of like Fallout in the sense that it's like two different stories, but I think timeline wise, it is before. But I could be tripping. But yeah.
But it's loosely in the same universe.
Yeah,
overall.
like they'll feel
Okay.
the same. Like if you like Skyrim, you'd like Oblivion, or vice versa.
So it's an RPG.
Yeah, obviously it's just really old now. I don't know when off the top of my head when it came out, but it was a long time ago, and it definitely looks its age. So that's the one thing that stopped me from actually going through and playing through it. But now that I hear that there's a potential remaster, that'll be what does it for me. You know what I mean? But that's kind of like really
All right,
it.
I have a question.
What's up?
Hearing that. Sorry, quick question. So hearing that this would be coming out a remastered version of this, we also just had Baldur's Gate released last year, Game of the Year. Do you feel like, because I don't have my finger on the pulse of the gaming community, do you feel like RPGs like trending up, trending down? Is this like a big moment for RPGs? Do you think they're going to become even bigger in the future? We even had the Zelda games, both Breath of the Wild and the more recent one both did really well. What do you think?
I think they're kind of always in the. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are really more plugged. Like esports is a lot bigger than it was before. So I mean, competitive games, and like dev teams, always a lot of them will like if they see it's there, they'll try and lean into the competitive side just because they know that'll keep it alive. More so than any of that. But I think one thing Baldur's Gate did was everyone was like, "Holy shit." This game came out. It's so in depth. It feels like your choices actually do stuff. There's so much going on in this world. How come other companies like AAA titles that are making RPGs can't replicate this? And I know a lot of other companies were like, "Oh, this isn't realistic. Blah blah blah. Like, no, you can't expect us to do this. Blah blah blah." So I think, hopefully, Baldur's Gate kind of like put a lot of people on edge and put a lot of consumers in a spot where they realize like what a real game made with love and that isn't super anti-consumer can look like. So hopefully that makes dev teams want to do better and but yeah
Anything that performs as well as Baldur's Gate did and like gets Game of the Year, it's almost guaranteed to like push that style of gaming at least a little bit forward.
Yeah, and obviously like it didn't come out like in like 2 years. It took a long time. It was an alpha where it only had Act 1 for so long and a lot changed, but like I'd rather these companies spend a little extra time, make a good game, but I know it's not always up to them. A lot of them are owned by much larger companies that want to keep the stockholders happy. They want to see money. They know a lot of IPs that they have. If they put out a fucking pile of shit, people that are fans of it will always buy it initially. So they're always just going to see like a big, a lot of sales. Obviously the player base will like quickly die, but they got their money. They don't give a fuck. So, I don't know. The gaming industry is kind of weird right now. I think a lot of companies have realized that they can make a lot of money off games, for better or for worse. Ideally these teams get more money funded, but at the cost of someone like, I want that money back and then some. So they're going to add a lot of features that are maybe not great or not add features. But yeah, that's my rant on the gaming industry as a whole right now. But
okay. You hear that? That's from the expert, okay? This guy knows what he's talking about.
I'm the expert. I've been gaming for a while.
So other than League, is there anything that the viewers can expect you to be streaming in the coming weeks?
No, I mean, off the top of my head, no. But I have just been looking at my wish listed games that I have I've had them on there for a long time. A lot of them are kind of on the cheaper side. I think I'm just going to start exploring, playing random shit. I played one called World of Horror yesterday, which is like a kind of like a retro styled turn-based game. I don't even know how to explain it. It's got a lot of shit going on, but I played that last night, and then I played a little League after. But yeah, I just want to start playing new things, expanding my horizon, keeping things interesting. Because I'm okay at League, but comparative to a lot of the other big established streamers, I'm not really that guy. So
Fair enough. I was hoping that you would talk about how we play Baldur's Gate on stream probably about once a week.
Yeah, fuck
right?
yeah. I mean, we just once a week is a stretch. When we actually get
once
the
a
whole
week's a
team
stretch,
going.
but ideally once a week.
Yeah, I mean, whenever we can, I'm gonna throw in a Baldur's Gate, playthrough. We've got a playthrough. It's been taking a while just because everyone's schedules are so different. But yeah, whenever they align, we will be playing Baldur's Gate on stream, and I will always stream it. Just that way,
Yeah, so if you can't hear enough of our voices, you can hear us talk to a couple more of our buddies playing Baldur's Gate, so you can be on the lookout for that.
And you can see me get visibly frustrated trying to keep everything in order.
You can see Cass walk my hand through like a little baby through a video game while I ask stupid questions.
Exactly.
All right. Cass, anything else to throw out there before we end this one?
I think we covered just about everything and then some more that we planned on talking about. But yeah.
All right, so I think that'll pretty much bring this episode to a close. Again, you can catch Cass on Twitch at WizardCass. How do you spell that, Cass?
WZRD, no vowels, and then Cass.
No vowels.
One word.
This podcast is firmly against vowels.
Yeah, and there's some backstory to it, but if you want to know that, you can ask me on stream. Can't give it all away.
And if you haven't heard enough of my voice, you can catch me at the Darius Show on all podcast streaming services. On this channel, if you're watching on YouTube, I do plan on putting out a video of me experiencing Yu Yu Hakusho for the first time. I have a lot of the feelings and opinions on that, so that should be a big review coming out soon as well. But yeah, otherwise, subscribe, catch us on TikTok or wherever else you can find us. But yeah.
Don't forget to drop a sub, a like, and make sure to hit the bell icon to get reminded of every video that comes out.
That's right. If you made it this far, put an eggplant emoji in the comment section.
Yeah, you gotta do the whole YouTube spiel. All we need now is a sponsor, and we're good.
And a name. We need a name for this podcast as well.
That would help, yeah. Alrighty.
All right. This podcast brought to you by We Need a New Name. All right. Thank you for listening, and have a beautiful week. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye.